Well, hello there. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm here with my dear friend, the CEO, president of Apparel Redefined, John LaRoy. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Kurt. Great to be back.
Hey, this is awesome. We have another great topic, wonderful conversation that we're going to dive into. And, we're both logistics guys and we love, I'm going to go a little bit old school. I'm older than you. I'm a guy from the, college in the 80s. And just in time was a real popular, I was a logistics major and that's all we talked about was just in time. And really, it's still incredibly prevalent today. So we want to talk just in time at Apparel Redefined. Let's dive in. What exactly is just-in-time branded apparel, and how does it differ from, say, traditional approaches with apparel production and branding?
Sure. So just in time is not, like you said, it's not a new concept, but the new spin on just in time is print on demand, right? It's been around for probably 7 to 10 years in terms of the technology's been available. But, with COVID and what we went through, it just accelerated what was already happening. The explosion of e-com that happened during COVID, it was going to happen in 10 years, but instead of taking 10, it took 3. So the print on demand, the just in time printing uses more digital, where for 60 years the screen printing world really hasn't changed, and very analog in the interface essentially, and the execution of the product. Um, and where that comes to is problems in predicting and forecasting, because it's not just a single product, right? You have to predict and forecast small, medium, large, extra large colors, um, design, content, execution, delivery, speed. And again, the Amazon effect has completely changed the marketplace, because I would say the vast majority of Amazon product is not customized. It's a product on a shelf. You order it, it goes to a cart, and it ships to you. And it used to be elated when it would come in 3 days, and now some of the stuff is coming same day. So like that customer mindset has completely changed, and they want everything today. Tomorrow is not even an option anymore. I want it today, but we got to customize it, right? So it just takes you just have to do what you can to meet the demand, and the introduction of more technology to our space has enabled that, right? Because you have the tech on the back end which does the actual production of the garment, but now you really need to marry that to the front end, which is the interface that the customer interacts with, and then you got to get them talking to each other, and that's a real big challenge in our industry.
Yeah, excellent points here. And there's so many tremendous benefits here from a
Mhm.
inventory basis, cash flow. We're going to dive into some of these things, but what are some of the key benefits? So maybe that corporate buyer or maybe retail restaurants, what are some of those big benefits for folks diving into a just-in-time strategy?
Yeah, I mean, the first big benefit is take the guesswork out, and having the ability to offer your clients, whether it be your internal client, your external client, the ability to go get something and get it in the next couple days, right? And not have to commit to inventory. Part of the problem, I mean, the online store that has exploded, that wasn't even a solution 10 years ago, where now you can have your own hosted, custom branded, unique online store that you can give to your customers, to your clients, to your own employees, and you can also customize that to have gift card codes, performance benefits. Um, Weekly or monthly, you hit your target, go on a store, go get a product, and it just opens up an entire world of possibilities for employee recognition, customer recognition, and again, not having that commitment to an unknowable or unpredictable amount of product that might never get used. So the second you order it, it actually gets produced, which was unheard of. Back in everything up until about 2017, you would have to order X amount of each size and each color, and it would sit somewhere in a warehouse, and you never knew if it got used or ordered, and then you'd have massive discounting, or it would end up overseas, um, never to be used, and or to be donated, and it was a massive expense, and it really prohibited a lot of people from getting into that space. because they didn't want to commit to inventory because it's a financial risk, and you didn't really know how to justify or mitigate that risk. So, and again, too, like we talked about this in the last episode, sorry to carry on here, but in the corporate space, especially, shirt and tie is gone. So like that need didn't exist. You weren't allowed to come to work in a polo and a quarter zip, or if you did, you probably wouldn't be working much longer. But now, if you show up in a suit and tie, you might be looked at as kind of weird. So like again, that demand um, has now exceeded the supply, and you got to have that balance again.
Yeah, lots of great points here. We were talking last week about the reputation equity, and
Yep.
like you're saying, it's all about resonating that trust immediately. So many benefits here. Again, for you're talking about the flexibility, versatility, cost benefits, lower risk. Let's go here. Let's talk about the process. Okay, so say again,
Sure.
I have a restaurant chain, or we're trying to build that brand in that. I love what you're saying, like that customer reputation, recognition. But let's go here. Let's say I'm a corporate buyer, or boy, this sounds great. I don't have to have all sorts of inventory sitting here.
Mhm.
Walk us through that process. Lining with a partner like Apparel Redefined. What does that look like when from start to finish?
Sure, absolutely. So the first step is identifying first your logo, right? Do you have a logo? Um, do you have the right files or what we need? Because if we don't, we can help you walk. We can walk you through that process of getting your logo print ready for all the different mediums that we're going to produce it on. The second step of that process is if you want to go digital and you want to have an online presence, an online marketplace, we're going to build that store for you. And as many products or as little products as you want on the storefront, we have some recommendations. Sometimes too many can cause decision paralysis, right? You get overwhelmed, and that overwhelming feeling causes you not to do anything. Where we see the sweet spot usually between no more than like 15 to 20 products. Um, but again, completely up to you. Then we work on the structure. From a corporate side, are your employees paying for it? Are they paying for some of it or paying for all of it? Do you want to have a special cause? Like we do a lot of stuff for like Susan G. Komen and breast cancer awareness. Right now we have the MS walks all over the city. So we have corporate clients that have dedicated stores with a specific design around the event and the company kind of married together. And we have that, going live for all of our corporate clients as we speak. So once you have that, you have the storefront built, then it really comes down to marketing, right? How do we push that out internally, externally, whatever you want to do. So it's so simply to be shared with an email list, whatever company message board, whatever they use internally, simply a link. We can also have flyers, but it makes it really easy, and you can order, on your phone, scan it with a QR code. The restaurants that are promoting their brand, on those little cards that have their special drinks or specials on the backside of it, there's a QR code so that if they wanted to get their favorite t-shirt from a bar, they can scan it and it brings them right to the ordering page. So yeah, the technology and the online store presence has really enabled really a seamless interaction. And again, because people are used to ordering online. I mean, that's one of the things that 5 years ago, even 6, 7 years ago, people were like, I'm not ordering online. I'm gonna get my credit card stolen, right? You had to get over that mental hump, and now it's just everyone's ordering online at least once a week, maybe several times a day. Depending on the Amazon addiction that my wife has and myself. I'm not gonna lie. So, um, but yeah. So once you have your storefront built, you got your products picked. Um, Before the store goes live, I should back up a little bit there. We mock up everything, so you can see it. Is this what you want? We'll even send you samples, because that's the thing in apparel. One of the challenges, and tech is going to solve this soon. Um, how does it fit? Is it because every brand is a little bit different representation of small and medium and large? Is it an athletic cut? Is it a boxy cut? Is it an oversized cut? So um, that's one of the things that is still kind of a frontier in our industry because it can vary even within brand because it's being produced at different spots. So what we typically recommend, for stuff that's going to be, um, a bit more pricey, a Nike polo, Under Armour polo, Lululemon, Patagonia, we recommend that we send a sizing run especially if it's going to be worn, at work, for your people to try on if they wish, and then it's kind of there. It's in the workplace, and then they have it. The back end of it, all the way through kitting, what's really big is kind of like brand in a box, right? Where if you have a remote workforce, which obviously a lot of people have moved to, or a hybrid, a little bit in the office, a little bit at home, you can get your brand in a box where you get a nice branded box with your company logo, corporate logo. You got your Yeti, you got your polo, a quarter zip, some pens, paper, whatever you want. And that can be quarterly, monthly. I don't know about weekly, but if you want it, we can do it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, tons of, so you walk through the process, of, the benefits of, going through the just-in-time concept,
Yep.
so, putting yourself in that buyer's shoes, you use the word like seamless, frictionless. How can we make it as easy as possible? Everybody now is online, like
Mhm.
you said, Amazon, there's somebody delivering, something to my house, it seems like daily. It's just so convenient. And we've got the same process here for that just-in-time concept. So let's go here. We're talking about all the benefits. We walk through the process. Let's go like if I'm again corporate buyer, I'm looking for a new partner to go this direction. What I'm doing is not working now. I've got to make a
Mhm.
pivot. I've got to make a change. What putting ourselves in that buyer's shoes, what are some factors that they should consider when interviewing someone like yourself, somebody at Apparel Redefined? What recommendations do you have in that alignment?
What part of the process do you control? Right. And I think selfishly, it should be all of it. Right. I mean, because there is a lot that needs to happen from when the order is placed, depending on what platform you're using, to then where does the magic happen? Where's the sausage made? Is that something that this company is outsourcing? Because then you're losing control. Right. And if you lose control, you lose the control of the speed and the quality. Um, we do it all. You know what I mean? We got the front end, we got the middle of taking the order, and then we got the execution out on the shop floor where we're doing it and then fulfilling it out of the same building as well. So that's one of the questions I would ask, because it is important. Because we're not perfect. We do make mistakes, and when mistakes happen, how can we get it fixed? And how fast can we get that new product or replaced product to our client or to our customer? So that's really important. Um, and then consistency, right? How is that being managed, process? How are we held accountable? Is there transparency in the process? Does your online presence allow whoever's in charge of this program? Because usually, as we've seen it now, apparel can become the hot potato that no one wants to touch, right? It's kind of like, hey, you're in charge of ordering for this event. I don't care how it gets done, just get it done, right? And everyone doesn't want to look bad. Everyone inherently wants to look good, and whether that be in a polo or a t-shirt. But I'm saying like your reputation as how you deliver that project for your boss, for your company, whatever, it should be seamless, it should be frictionless. And how does that happen? And the reporting on the front end, where it's like, hey, we went out and we put the link out, the store is closing or the store is expected to deliver. You have all that transparency to see who ordered, what they ordered, sizes, delivery time, all that type of stuff on the front end. So again, you don't have to kind of say, oh god, I hope it gets here, or I hope everyone ordered. You have the control that you need, but the responsibility that you don't want, essentially.
Yeah, that's fair. I,
Yeah.
I think the key word in that whole segment right there was transparency, right?
Sure.
People love to, my wife and I just and our family went to a wonderful restaurant. It's a Italian landmark. Everybody loves it. And they have like big glass windows. You can see them actually,
Awesome.
as you're saying,
Yeah.
like making the sausage, that transparency. That's why they've been around for 100 years.
Right.
I think people want, just give me the peace of mind of when is my, what's the process? When's my product going to be here? What I've really admired with my relationship with Apparel Redefined is you guys just really go all in embracing technology. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, what some of the competitive advantages or the technology advantages that either that you've seen in the industry, or most importantly, what you're doing at Apparel Redefined.
Sure. So there's a lot, right? So from an execution standpoint or production, we're talking about just-in-time apparel. Uh, you can have speed, but will you have quality, right? And being in the screen printing world for 19 years, we're screen print snobs, and we didn't want to bring in a solution that we couldn't stand behind. So we spent 3 years researching and trying to find um, a partner and a manufacturing piece of equipment that would stand behind or withhold to our standards. We want durability, we want consistency, we want quality and speed. And those are three things that are, tough to balance. You can get one or two, it's tough to get all three. And for the better part of 2 3 years, we flew all over the country. We tested all different types of manufacturing partners. And again, like in terms of the three things we're looking for, it's also a relationship. I mean, this is a manufacturing niche that you serve. It's not if it goes wrong, it's when it goes wrong. And do you have that partnership? Because downtime's a real thing, and how do you minimize it, right? So we have a partner that we picked and we've been working with for over a year now. And there's only 5 of these machines in the globe. We have one of them, and the durability, the quality is absolutely phenomenal. So again, being able to offer a better product, higher quality, with more options was really important to us. It's like, yeah, you can do it, but if it comes off after 2 or 3 washes, what good is that, right? Like this is um, something that's important. You know what I mean? We talked about in the last show, like what is your brand's promise? What are you delivering um, through that piece of apparel? Like what is that saying about you, not only if to your customer, but to your employee if they get that piece of apparel and it washes off, right? It looks like crap. So it's really important that that doesn't happen. And that's where we really dove into the technology because we understand it. We've been a part of it, and it was really important for us. Then in the middle side, you know, it's really great that you're able to produce, but how do you get the orders to the machine? So there's a lot of connection of software that we didn't really expect to do, but we found out we had to, right? Um, and the connections, the middlewares, the web hooks back and forth, and then flowing into our manufacturing execution system that we call Nomos. It's a huge investment in software tech. Um, but again, it's all because we want to deliver the transparency, consistency, and speed that's essential in the print on demand, just in time world. If that's what you're going to say you're going to do, well, then you better do it.
Yeah, that I couldn't love that term more. That what is your brand's promise?
Hmm.
When you're dealing with a customer, whether you're making a product, you're in a service, whatever solution that you provide, just hey, when I'm going to do it, and you also through this conversation, you've shared a lot of that transparency on the vulnerability side of like it's not if something's going to happen, it's when something's happened, and how do we communicate that and tackle through that. I've had the honor and privilege of seeing that machine in action. You really have the
Right.
Ferrari of print on demand, and it is something to see. We have a video on the website, showing that machine in action, and I absolutely love it. Let's go here, John, as we're talking to, again, speaking to that buyer out there. They're like, man, this is kind of yeah, I'm digging this what you guys are saying here. The just in time, you're seamless, frictionless. What are some potential challenges or pitfalls somebody might encounter making that transition, trying to get into that just-in-time level of inventory?
Some of the pitfalls they might encounter is product selection. Not everything can be done in the just-in-time world. There's still some limitations from a technology side, from an application side, but as we continue to improve processes, equipment, inks, fabrics, that will change. But if you're looking for um, that magic bullet for everything, it's not there yet, right? Because there's a yin and yang. If you want this, you're gonna give up that. So making sure that you have communication with your provider, that if you're looking for truly just in time products, that'll fit within what's possible, what's possible. um, because if you want high quality and speed, um, there is something that has to, you have to give up on something, or give a little bit to get what you want. So having that communication with a person that understands it. And again, this is the problem if you're not actually doing the work. Salespeople will tell you anything you want to hear, right? But do they know actually what they're trying to sell is going to work for the application? So yeah, that's one of the pitfalls there. Expecting a just-in-time product when it won't be just in time. There's a minimum, or it can't be done with a digital print. So yeah, just understanding application, process, and product.
Yeah, and great points there. And I want to dive into, you and I we were referencing our last conversation quite a bit, but we took a deep dive into sustainability. That is
Yep.
just such a forefront conversation on everybody's mind in some capacity, energy, everything. What I love is, as a business owner or, you're a corporate warrior, wherever you're at in a food chain, boy, inventory control equals cash flow. And
Mhm.
that just in time can really be a nice competitive advantage for folks, especially that are going through a lot, whether the resellers, distributors selling a lot of product, that just in time concept can be huge. Talk a little bit about the advantages from a sustainability and inventory control on what just in time can do for somebody out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if we talked about this last time or not, but like one of, I think number, it's in the top five of what is the top five product that's in a landfill, right? And it's apparel and mainly t-shirts, right? People, they have 15, 20, 30 of them in their closet, but at some point they get thrown away. Well, that's when they're purchased, right? But there's so much stuff that isn't purchased because either it's out of date, like when you attach a date to a t-shirt for an event, once that event is passed, it's kind of useless, right? You have all the stuff that people are 100% convinced, and branding companies and marketing companies, this is going to sell, it's going to work, and then it doesn't. So what do you got? You have all this excess waste that ends up in a landfill, right? And it's really, useless at that point. It's a waste of material, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources. So that just in time concept really helps cut into that. You don't have to produce anything until it's sold. And at that point, it's going to someone or somewhere, and you don't have all this excess inventory and excess product and excess waste and excess labor that really is outdated. That whole concept of you know create and pray is gone, or will be gone.
Yeah, I love that. So sustainability, inventory control. Now, with that, I want to slide into one thing. You do a great job with customization. So
Mhm.
I'm a buyer, and hey, this sounds great, John. But a lot of my stuff is customized.
Mhm.
How walk us through. And again, boy, check out John's facility and check out that amazing piece of machinery that you have. But you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to customization. Can you touch on
Sure.
that?
Well, one thing I always say is that machines produce and people create, which is crazy because, like, with AI and how much it's impacted the world in the last really 12 months, 6 months, every time you open up your email, there's some new app or some new AI or some other reason the world's going to end. Um, but at the end of the day, the people still create, the machines produce, right? So the people will drive that creation, um, and that creative process, right? Because that's still something that the humans are doing better than the AI and the machines. And you really need that partner, you know what I mean, to make that magic happen. Because if you, again, what is your brand promise? What are you trying to deliver? What are you trying to convey on this medium of a t-shirt? And we have a very talented graphic design team that can help you if you need it. If not, and you have your own team, we can work with that as well. But again, it's just understanding from the forefront what you're trying to do. Is it employee reward? Is it a new promotion? Is it uh, getting a message out there? All of that is very possible. And the greatest, again, piece of marketing that I think is out there is branded apparel.
Yeah, fantastic. So we'll start winding down. Let's touch
Yeah,
here. Any specific examples, case studies, success stories that come to mind on, where that just in time somebody made that transition is really thriving.
absolutely. Yeah, we got a client that is a leader in their niche, and when you would come onto their website, I just want to say, because we want to, I'm not going to give out names. We want to protect the client here. Um, I feel that, especially in ecom, right? In life, ecom, you get one shot. You spend all this money on marketing to get people to your site. If they want to come by and you don't have what you can't sell what they want to buy, whether it's out of stock or it's on back order, you might never get that person again. And all that money you invested to get that click is now blown away. And you don't know the other benefit, the negative effect of the comments, not even digitally, but socially, the spoken word of like, hey, I went to this guy's site and they didn't have what I wanted. It's that part of it is really unmeasurable, right? So your entire brand, again, what is your promise to your customer? Your promise doesn't look good if you go to the store and you don't have something to sell. If I'm going to a new grocery store and I'm looking for apples for my son or out of apples, I'm probably not going to go back there again. You know what I mean? So what I'm getting at, long story short, is this brand and this company we work with will never be out of stock ever again. And I think like at one point they had over 2,000 SKUs, and now that sounds like a lot, but like each size, small, medium, large, is its own SKU, and they have probably 150 different designs. And at one point, there was over 270 SKUs out of stock because prior to coming to just in time, they had to wait until they got 144 pieces of that specific design to reorder, right? Because it's really, really great art. I mean, there's super talented artists that make this stuff, but it's like 14 color prints. So you need a minimum of at least 144, sometimes 288. And again, you're guessing how many smalls out of that 144 should I order? How many mediums? And that's what you would see. You would see these massive gaps where you'd have that design still in stock, but you would have no extra larges, right? So we really help that client. So like what we were able to do is like, hey, send out your marketing. You have all 288, like they had backlogs and backlogs of thousands of people that they were just saying, "Hey, we'll get you your t-shirt when we're able to reorder," but it could take months, you know? So now you go into the grocery store, you have 10,000 apples, you know what I mean? And you have everything that you could possibly want to sell. And, when you talk about licensing, there's a lot of people that need to eat in e-com, especially if you're working with licensed product. The licensees want to make money. You want to make money. Your customers want the product. And this is that perfect marriage to allow all three to eat and deliver a high quality product, to the end customer. So yeah, that's a perfect case study. And there's so many people out there that are in that space where they've had a really good brand for a really long time, but it was built on an old model. And there is some trepidation to change to the new digital platform. But I guess seeing is believing. Doubting Thomas. We were talking about my sons before the before the call, and yeah, I mean it's natural, but we really help people overcome that. And once they start seeing the sales numbers, it's like, why did we wait so long?
Yeah, the sales and again the cash flow, inventory control, serving the customer. And I think that promise to your customer is just such a profound. As a matter of fact, we might have to trademark right, the copyright that term right there, promise
Okay.
to your customer. I love that. So, all right, let's wrap up. Last question for you. Future. What's the future hold? You've mentioned numerous times since 2017, since COVID,
Mhm.
all the changes, dramatic changes with AI. Get the crystal ball out, my friend. Moving forward, where do you see branded apparel? Most importantly, the topic we're hitting today, just in time. Where do you see what's the future hold for us?
Continuing to push the envelope. Um, so much has changed in the last 5 years where you had 70, 60 years of really no innovation to our space, right? It was like, hey, here's your t-shirt, here's our print capabilities, and that's it. So what you're going to see is what we talked a little about earlier, right? Where just in time print on demand, it was a very tiny box. Like if you wanted that, this is all you could offer. That's beginning to grow. So being able to have that print on demand capability across all different fabrics, all different products, that's evolving literally every day. Um, so yeah, I see the ability to offer print on demand on all different fabrics, all different products, continue to expand. But everything has its yin and yang, right? You know what I mean? Like you see it in Major League Baseball right now. Nike and Fanatics, they went to a thinner, lighter, more, whatever uniform, and now they're all falling apart and are see-through. And you have players clamoring like, why did we change? This wasn't a problem. I want my twill jersey. This looks cheap, you know. So yeah, there's a balance. The technology can move too far. It's that pendulum, right? It swings too far, and you got to come back to the balance. So we're going to continue to push the envelope. Um, a lot more tech platforms connecting with the suppliers. That's a major innovation that's happening in our industry, which has already happened in many other manufacturing sectors, but we're just kind of late to the game where you have your distributors, you have your suppliers, and you have your producers, and all of them were not speaking to each other. You didn't know if products were in stock, and coming out of supply chain issues. So getting those three different parties connected is coming. Most of it's here, but it still needs to be perfected. Um, and then again, continue to elaborate or push customer transparency, because Amazon's push that. You order, you get your notification, and whether or not people look at it, they expect it.
Yeah, tons. All right, lots to unpack, and again, if wonderful conversation here. We've talked about the speed, transparency, the brand promise. What's the promise to your customer? We've sustainability, inventory control, just immense advantages, huge benefits for folks in this space. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to wrap us up with today?
Um, I would just say like something that I had heard I thought was a really good point of view is like if you're working with a partner, an apparel provider, a promotional consultant, whatever you have, I would just ask like when was the last time they challenged you? When was the last time they communicated with you? And when was the last time they delivered value? Um, because to me, those three things, like what makes a good partner, they should be challenging you, they should be providing value, and they should be talking to you frequently. And if they're not doing that, potentially it might be time to find someone else. And those are three things that I think we hold near and dear here, because that's how we've grown for 19 years, and that's something that we're committed to for the next 19 and beyond.
Well, that's a great place to wrap up, and just phenomenal. Just great piece of advice right there for every entrepreneur, and even just human nature, right? Just that communication, delivering value. Let's challenge each other. So just love it. Again, John, thank you. John LaRoy here. We're at Apparel Redefined. Another phenomenal conversation. We appreciate you, and we'll be back with next week with another wonderful conversation. So we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Kurt.